All right, well, I just got back from watching Tolkien, the new film out that is, of course, about J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a biopic, and it is about his early life. This is one of my most anticipated films of the year. This was a film that I was really looking forward to. I love J.R.R. Tolkien. I love his work. I love everything that he's done for the fantasy genre, for culture, for mythology, all of that type of stuff. Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite books of all time, and I really have a lot of admiration for Tolkien, so I was really looking forward to this film. And I have to say that for the most part, I really enjoyed this movie. I was very cautious about it, I wasn't sure how I was going to think about it, because this is obviously a movie that's about one of my heroes, I guess you could say, and someone that I just really admire a lot. So, so I was really hoping that they would do this film right, that they would do this film justice, that they would do Tolkien justice. And to be honest, for the most part, they did a good job. They did a really good job with depicting Tolkien, depicting his life. And for the most part, it was pretty accurate. There were some things that they changed for creative reasons and stuff, but for the most part, the film did a really good job with honoring Tolkien. There were a couple things in it that I did not like at all that they did with Tolkien, and some things that they reflected about his life, but for the most part, it was pretty stinking accurate. I have to be completely honest. They did a really good job with it from that perspective. I love the fact that they really tied in together these different stories in this film, kind of between him and Edith and their relationship, and then him and the TCBS and stuff. I thought that everything that they did with that was just incredible, and they really did a good job with showing his relationship with those dudes and stuff, who are some of his best friends, leading up to World War One, and then they did a really good job with showing his inspiration for creating Middle-earth, for creating The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and all of that stuff. All of that stuff was fantastic, and I thought they did a good job with weaving it all together. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I would recommend that after you watch this film, I would recommend going to read a biopic or a biography or something about Tolkien, and that way you can get a kind of a better understanding about his actual life. The only complaint that I have about this film is that they didn't make any mention at all about his faith. Tolkien was a Catholic, and he was very devout to his faith and stuff, and they didn't show that at all in this film, and that was a big problem. That was a big problem because that is such a huge part of who Tolkien is, and you can't ignore that in the movie. And I didn't really want this movie to be like a focus on his faith or anything, and I wasn't expecting it to be a focus on his faith, but I thought that they would at least show how much his faith meant to him and how much that influenced who he was. But they didn't at all, and that was a huge mistake about this film. Definitely the big mistake about this film as far as for me. That was probably my biggest complaint about the film. I didn't want it to be like a focus on that, but they should have showed at least to some degree just how meaningful his faith was to him. I thought that was cool how they showed the relation. This movie was really about relationships and about fellowship and all of that type of messaging, and I really loved that. I loved the messaging of the film, but yeah, there were just some things that weren't quite accurate to who Tolkien was, and not having his faith in here was definitely a big misstep for this film, and unfortunately, that is probably going to take down the film a little bit for me, unfortunately. But besides that, they did a really good job with the film. I love the cinematography in the film. I love the writing in the film. I love the acting. Nicholas Hoult did a fantastic job as Tolkien. He completely smashed it. So he did a really good job from that perspective. So overall, I recommend this film, especially if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings or Tolkien. Even if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, you might enjoy this film and really enjoy the who created Lord of the Rings in the first place and all of that stuff, and seeing how he became who he was and stuff. So I definitely recommend checking it out. It wasn't boring at all. It was really entertaining to watch. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'm going to give this film 4 stars. It probably would have been a higher rating if they had included more of his faith in the film, but unfortunately they didn't, which was definitely a problem. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this review, and I will talk to you all very soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye.